All right, so we're going to do a deep dive into the week of a CEO
Oh, wow.
of a $100 million company,
Okay.
Leila Hormozi. She's the CEO of acquisition.com. She vlogged her entire week, and we're taking a look to
Interesting.
see what we can learn from her.
Yeah, it's fascinating because you rarely get this kind of unfiltered look into the life of a CEO.
Right.
Especially someone who's built a company like this.
Yeah, it's not the usual polished social media stuff, right?
Right.
Like, we're talking real-life problems, tough decisions,
Yeah.
the kind of hustle that most people wouldn't believe.
I can imagine.
So are you ready to see what it takes to build a billion-dollar business?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
First of all, let's talk about commitment.
Okay.
This woman's alarm goes off at 4:00 a.m.
Whoa.
And it's not for a leisurely yoga session.
Uh-huh.
She's up working out and then straight into 5 hours of meetings.
Wow.
That's some serious dedication.
It's definitely not a typical 9 to 5.
Right.
But, it makes you think, right? What are you willing to sacrifice to achieve your goals?
Right.
Like, how much are you willing to push yourself?
Yeah. And here's the thing. Even with that insane schedule, Leila doesn't try to be perfect.
Oh, interesting.
She even jokes about rocking the
What?
naked mole rat look. Some mornings, prioritizing her team and her work over spending hours on makeup.
Yeah,
I think that's a powerful message, especially for women in leadership.
absolutely. There's so much pressure to do it all, to look perfect, to have it all together.
Right.
But, Layla's showing us that it's okay to prioritize.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means letting go of the need to be perfectly polished all the time.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, myself included, could learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so picture this.
Yeah.
You're leading a company that's growing rapidly. Things are moving fast. New people are joining all the time.
Okay.
And suddenly communications starts to become a major headache.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic scaling problem.
Right.
Those informal channels that worked when the team was small just don't cut it anymore.
Exactly. And that's exactly what Leila's facing.
Makes sense.
She even compares it to a friend group that keeps growing.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More people mean more potential for misunderstandings, miscommunication, and things just generally getting lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, it's like a game of telephone.
Yeah.
But with high stakes.
Exactly. And here's how she tackles it.
Okay.
Instead of ignoring the problem or blaming individuals,
Right.
she brings it up with her team, acknowledging that it's a challenge they need to face together.
That's smart by acknowledging the issue openly. She's creating a space for people to speak up, share their experiences, and work together to find solutions.
Right.
It also sets a tone of transparency and collaboration,
Yeah.
which is crucial for navigating these kinds of growing pains.
She uses a really interesting analogy, too,
Oh, yeah. What's that?
comparing herself to the parent of her team.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It suggests a supportive, nurturing leadership style, but not one that shies away from tough conversations or setting clear expectations.
Right.
It's about guiding the team through the inevitable bumps and bruises of growth, not trying to shield them from every challenge.
Right. And that ties into another important point she makes about transparency,
Okay.
especially when it comes to her own emotions. So she admits to feeling tired, frustrated, even angry at times.
I can imagine.
But she emphasizes that acknowledging those feelings doesn't mean letting them control her actions.
That's emotional intelligence in action.
Right.
Being aware of your emotions and how they might impact your decisions,
Yeah.
but not letting them derail you from your goals.
And it's something that a lot of leaders struggle with, right?
Right, absolutely.
There's this pressure to always be on, to never show weakness.
Yeah, you got to always have it all together.
Yeah, but Leila's showing us that it's okay to be human, to have those moments of vulnerability, as long as you don't let them define you.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between authenticity and professionalism,
Right.
between being real and still maintaining that leadership presence.
Another thing I found refreshing was her honesty about her work ethic and lifestyle.
Okay.
She flat out says it's not for everyone,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
That's a powerful message, especially in a culture that often glorifies hustle and sacrifice at all costs.
Right.
Leila is saying, hey, this works for me, but it might not work for you.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine.
Right.
It's about defining your own version of success and not trying to fit into someone else's mold.
Yeah. I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially those early in their careers.
Totally.
It's easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to others and feeling like you need to replicate their path to be successful.
Absolutely. But Layla's reminding us that there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
It's about knowing yourself, your values, and what you're willing to prioritize.
And she really walks the talk, doesn't she?
Oh, for sure.
She's incredibly open about her past mistakes, even sharing a story about getting arrested.
Wow.
That level of transparency is rare.
Yeah, it is.
Especially for someone in her position, but it's also incredibly powerful.
For sure.
By owning her past, both the good and the bad, she's showing us that mistakes are part of the journey.
Right.
It's about how you learn from them and move forward that matters.
And that you're human.
Right.
Yeah.
It also creates a sense of authenticity and relatability.
Yeah, definitely.
She's not pretending to be perfect.
Right.
She's acknowledging that she's human just like everyone else.
Exactly.
And that makes her message even more impactful.
It's about embracing those imperfections and seeing them as opportunities for growth, not reasons to hide or feel ashamed.
Now let's talk about how Leila handles mistakes within her team.
Okay.
She's got a unique approach, and it really ties into her leadership philosophy.
Interesting.
So she's a big believer in focusing on solutions rather than dwelling on the problem.
Okay.
She even brings up the 80-20 principle.
Oh, yeah.
Which essentially says that 80% of the results come from 20% of the causes. So instead of getting bogged down in the details of who messed up or why,
Right.
she encourages her team to identify the root cause of the problem and address that directly.
It's a proactive approach to problem solving.
Yes.
And it's much more effective in the long run than simply putting out fires or blaming individuals.
And it all ties back to her company's core value of excellence. She truly embodies this value in everything she does, from interacting with her team to handling challenging situations.
It's not just a buzzword for her, it's a way of life.
Exactly, and it's reflected in the smallest of actions, like refilling the coffee machine when it's empty, or taking the time to acknowledge her team's efforts, even when things get hectic.
Yeah, those little things matter.
They do.
They create a ripple effect, fostering a positive and supportive work environment,
Right.
where people feel appreciated and motivated to do their best.
And it's not just about creating a feel-good atmosphere. It directly impacts the company's bottom line.
Of course.
When people feel valued and respected, they're more likely to be engaged, productive, and innovative.
Absolutely. It's a win-win situation.
Right.
And it all starts with the leader setting the example.
Which is exactly what Leila does. She leads by example, embodying the values she wants to see in her team.
That's far more powerful than simply talking about values.
Yes.
It's about walking the walk day in and day out.
Right.
And it's something that anyone, regardless of their position or title, can do.
Okay. We've seen the hustle, the vulnerability, the commitment to excellence. But what about the strategic side of things?
Yeah.
What does Leila see as her primary role as CEO?
I'm curious to hear this.
She's very clear about this.
Okay.
She sees herself as the company's chief problem solver.
Interesting.
Her job is to identify the biggest challenges facing the company
Okay.
and then guide her team toward finding solutions.
I see. So she's not just managing, she's actually strategizing.
And this is where her experience and unique perspective really come into play.
Yeah.
She's been through the trenches of building businesses before, so she has that intuition for what's truly important and what needs to be addressed.
Got it.
It's about understanding the bigger picture,
Right.
anticipating potential roadblocks,
Yeah.
and making those tough decisions that will ultimately drive the company forward.
That's leadership.
It's not just about managing day-to-day operations. It's about setting the strategic direction,
Right.
navigating the complexities of rapidly growing company,
Yeah.
and ensuring that everyone is aligned on the same goals.
And this ability to adapt is another key theme that emerges from Leila's week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she talks about adjusting her communication style depending on the audience, meeting people where they are.
Which is such a critical skill for any leader, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to communication.
Yeah.
You have to be flexible, adaptable, and responsive to the needs of the people you're leading.
And that ties back to the concept of transparency and creating a psychologically safe environment.
Right. Leila believes that by being open and honest with her team, she creates a sense of safety that allows them to perform at their best.
So they're not afraid to take risks, share ideas, or admit when they've made a mistake.
Right.
They know that they'll be supported, not punished.
Which is essential for fostering creativity and innovation.
Yes.
When people feel safe, they're more likely to take those risks that lead to breakthroughs.
And that's what drives growth and success in the long run.
Absolutely. And it's not just about achieving short-term goals. It's about creating a lasting impact. Leila talks about her desire to create a positive ripple effect, inspiring her team members to become better leaders themselves.
It's about paying it forward, fostering a culture of continuous improvement, and ultimately leaving a legacy that extends far beyond the walls of her company.
That's a powerful aspiration.
It is.
It's about recognizing that leadership is not just a position.
Right.
It's a responsibility to empower others and make a positive difference in the world. And you can see that playing out in the vlog. There's a scene where she's mentoring an employee who's struggling with hiring and delegating.
Yeah.
She even admits to making similar mistakes early on.
I love that she doesn't shy away from sharing her own struggles.
Right.
It makes her advice so much more relatable and genuine.
It's that vulnerability that really sets her apart, you know? She's not afraid to say, hey, I've been there. It's tough, but you can figure it out.
Yeah.
It creates a sense of trust and encourages people to open up and ask for help when they need it.
And that's such a crucial part of building a strong team, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Creating a culture where people feel comfortable admitting their weaknesses and asking for support.
It's the opposite of that fake it till you make it mentality. Right. That can be so toxic in some work environments.
Yeah.
Leila's showing us that it's okay to not have all the answers.
To be a work in progress.
Speaking of work in progress, I was struck by how grounded she seems, despite all her success.
Yeah.
It would be easy to let it go to your head.
I know.
But she doesn't.
I think that speaks volumes about her character and her values.
Yeah.
She seems very clear about what's truly important to her relationships, her team, the impact she's making. She's not defined by external validation or material possessions.
I remember when she talks about taking off her bra and makeup at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And how that's one of the best parts of her day. It's a simple thing, but it shows that she's human just like everyone else.
Exactly. She's not putting on a show or trying to be someone she's not.
Right.
She's comfortable in her own skin, and that authenticity shines through in everything she does.
And it's a powerful reminder that success doesn't have to come at the expense of your well-being or your sense of self.
Right. You can be ambitious and driven without sacrificing your personal life or your sanity.
Another thing that impressed me was how she handles criticism. She gets negative comments online, like anyone with a public profile.
Of course.
But she doesn't let it get to her.
She seems to have a really healthy perspective on it.
Yeah.
She understands that you can't please everyone, and she's not going to let the negativity of a few detract from the positive impact she's making.
She even says that she doesn't let those comments deter her from being transparent.
Wow.
It's almost like she sees honesty and openness as a shield against negativity.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to that concept of psychological safety we talked about earlier. By being open and vulnerable, she's creating a space where others feel safe to do the same.
Right.
And when people feel safe, they're less likely to be affected by external negativity.
It's like she's building a culture of resilience, both for herself and her team.
Exactly. They're in it together, facing the challenges and celebrating the wins as a united front.
Leila also talks about having to prioritize and delegate tasks, acknowledging that she can't do everything herself.
That's such a crucial lesson for any leader.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing your limitations, building a strong team, and trusting others to do their jobs effectively.
It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you have to do everything yourself,
Yeah.
especially when you're passionate about your work.
Right, but that's a recipe for burnout.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it limits your impact.
By delegating effectively, Leila frees up her time and energy to focus on the things that only she can do, like setting the strategic direction for the company and tackling those big picture challenges.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so we've talked about her leadership style, her values, her approach to problem solving. But what does her actual work week look like?
Yeah.
What does she actually DO all day?
I'm curious.
Well, one thing's for sure, it's not a typical 9 to 5.
Okay.
We see her working late into the evening, prepping for meetings, and constantly juggling multiple priorities.
It's a glimpse into the demanding reality of running a high-growth company.
Right.
There's always something that needs attention.
And she's incredibly hands-on.
Oh, really?
We see her in meetings with different teams, diving into the specifics of marketing campaigns, product development, you name it.
It's not just about sitting in an ivory tower and giving orders.
No.
She's actively involved in every aspect of the business.
There's a scene where she's talking about having to create separate quarterly meetings for different teams.
Wow.
because each department has its own unique set of goals and challenges.
That shows a deep understanding of the need for tailored communication and leadership approaches.
Right.
You can't just apply a one-size-fits-all strategy to every situation.
And it highlights the importance of empowering others to lead within their areas of expertise. She's not a micromanager.
Right.
She trusts her team to make decisions and take ownership.
And that trust is clearly reciprocated.
Yeah.
You can see the respect and admiration in the way her team interacts with her.
I also noticed that she makes time for mentoring her team members.
That's nice.
She's not just focused on the bottom line.
Yeah.
She's genuinely invested in their growth and development.
That's the mark of a true leader.
Yeah.
Someone who sees their role as more than just achieving business goals. It's about creating a positive ripple effect, inspiring others to step into their own leadership potential.
It's about building something bigger than yourself, creating a legacy that extends far beyond your own accomplishments.
Leila's week is a whirlwind of activity meetings, problem-solving, mentoring, and strategic planning.
It is.
But what's striking is her ability to stay grounded amidst all the chaos.
She never loses sight of what's truly important.
Right.
And that's incredibly inspiring.
She's a reminder that you can achieve incredible things without sacrificing your values or your humanity.
We've talked about how she emphasizes adaptability and being responsive to change.
Right. The business landscape is constantly shifting, and leaders need to be able to pivot and adjust their strategies accordingly.
And Leila doesn't shy away from trying new things, even if they don't always work out perfectly. Yeah. Remember when she talks about a marketing campaign that flopped?
Oh, yeah.
She embraces those setbacks as opportunities to learn and improve.
It's a growth mindset in action.
And she encourages that same mindset within her team.
Okay.
She's created a culture where it's safe to take risks and innovate, knowing that failure is just part of the process.
And that's essential for staying ahead of the curve in any industry.
We see her constantly challenging her team to think outside the box, come up with new ideas, and push the boundaries of what's possible.
She's a true innovator.
And she's right there with them, rolling up her sleeves and getting involved in the execution.
It's not just about delegating and giving orders.
Right.
It's about working side by side with your team, sharing the challenges and the triumphs.
That creates a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose that's incredibly powerful.
Absolutely.
You can really feel that energy and enthusiasm throughout the vlog.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
And it's a testament to the kind of culture Leila has cultivated, one that values hard work, innovation, and mutual respect.
I think what's so compelling about Leila's story is that it's not just about business success.
Right.
It's about living a life that's aligned with your values, making a positive impact on the world, and inspiring others to do the same.
It's a reminder that leadership is not just about achieving external goals.
Right.
It's about being the best version of yourself and empowering others to do the same.
So it's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It has.
We've unpacked Leila's week from those early morning workouts to the late night strategizing. What stands out to you as the most impactful takeaway from her story?
I think for me, it's her unwavering commitment to transparency and authenticity.
Yeah.
It's so rare to see a leader, especially at her level,
Right.
be so open and vulnerable.
And it's not just about being relatable, although that's definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
There's a strategic element to it as well.
Right. By being transparent, she builds trust with her team, creates a psychologically safe environment where people feel comfortable taking risks, and ultimately drives better business outcomes.
It's like she's proving that vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's actually a strength.
Totally.
It takes a lot of courage to be that open, especially when you're in the public eye.
Absolutely. And I think it's something that we can all learn from,
Yeah.
regardless of our position or industry.
Right.
Being authentic, admitting our mistakes, asking for help when we need it. These are all things that can make us more effective leaders and better human beings.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Leila's week, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What can you take away from her story and apply to your own life?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Maybe it's about prioritizing your well-being, even when you're facing intense demands.
Yeah.
Or perhaps it's about being more transparent with your team and creating a culture of psychological safety. Or maybe it's about embracing failure as a learning opportunity and having the courage to try new things.
Whatever it is, remember that leadership is a journey, not a destination. We're all constantly learning and evolving.
And sometimes the most valuable lessons come from the most unexpected places, like a vlog of a $100 million CEO.
Exactly. So keep diving deep, keep challenging yourself, and keep striving for excellence.
Until next time.